Mazel tov to you on your grandson's wedding. Okay.
Okay, can we have a little update, review of last week's shir? We were learning chapter 10 and we're going to finish it today. We were learning all the amazing things that Bnei Yisrael promised in what was called a covenant, Brit Amanah. Anybody want to give us a little review of that last week's learning? Come on, some of you take copious notes. I know that.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll go for it.
Okay.
Okay. So the Brit Amanah of faith was a document of faith. There were returnees from Bavel in Persia. The people were so sad, and they were returning to Judaism. They did real teshuvah, and they were eager to do what was right in the eyes of Hashem, and for the Jewish community as well. And they continued to learn with the Levium, and they were learning history over and over. And we need to learn history over so we won't forget. Whenever they said Amen, when you say Amen, it's a recognition of something that's right, meaning so and so it is. There were 23 Kohanim and 15 Levium and 82 people, or 84 from all of the tribes. The Nephites, the Gibeons, Joshua converted and stayed with the Jews. Nechemiah was the cupbearer to the king, and he was the one who was allowed to drink for the wine before Darius had it. We do not see Ezra's name at all as a signature, because he was already signed on in serving everything. He was a descendant of David HaMelech, and things were written in Aramaic, and they meant do and listen. They had been sent the people had been sent to exile at the end of Malachim because we did not listen, and there were serious consequences. We talked about the wood offering. The wood was to keep the fires burning in the Beit HaMikdash. And Darius wrote a letter that for the carrier, because wood was a very precious commodity, and people had a lottery to obtain wood. And the Levium and Kohanim had the wood to keep warm, and they were committed to this. And but yeah, sorry, it's a little spotty, but
okay. So
can I just say one thing?
Sure.
Ed, because you emphasized this to us, that if it weren't for Ezra and Nehemiah, and the people, that Judaism would have died out.
That's right.
And it's, to me, like, I never knew that.
Yeah, it would have been gone. We have a.
Oh, I mean, they must come across to us then as amazing prophets,
right?
Not just regular, but amazing, because
they weren't prophets, right. They're not considered prophets, but clearly they're heroes of the Jewish people.
Right.
Yes, I believe that we could definitely call them heroes, and they had a total commitment to make sure that Judaism, Torah Judaism, carried on, and that the people were saved, and that the whole scenario was turned around. And that's what's the brilliance of these two men. They saw what was needed, and they jumped in to take care and ensure that the history of the Jewish nation would not be like all the other nations, lost to history. that we would continue on, and we owe them a great deal, a debt of gratitude. So here we are.
Can I ask a
yes,
question before you
sure,
go further?
Sure.
We mentioned this Brit
Amanah.
Amanah.
Mhm.
Is that the name of the document they
Yes.
all signed? So all of this is part of that.
That's a covenant that they signed.
That's what they
yes,
signed.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's what I wanted to be
Yes.
sure of.
So here they are making this covenant a document. I almost liken it to the Declaration of Independence in America, where they guarantee that they will make sure they will commit themselves to various things, and we listed them. Shemitah was one of them. Shabbat was one of them.
Not letting their daughters marry.
Not intermarrying. These were big items. These are big. These are huge. These are the pillars of Judaism, because not keeping Shabbos, intermarrying, and not keeping the laws of the Torah,
You
you have
disappear.
nothing. You have nothing. So these people really, really recommitted themselves, and that's why I find that it's so important to read their names, because we owe them so much. Now, having said that, let's turn into chapter 10. We didn't quite finish it up. Chapter 10, and I believe, let's see what verse we were on.
About 15, it looks like.
So
to me.
let's go back to 35. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Verse 35. All right, you ready? Everyone ready? Okay. Linda, do you have that?
Yes.
You want to read?
Okay. Here goes. Then we cast lots for the wood offering among the Kohanim, the Levites, and the people, to bring it to the temple of our God, the temple of our forefathers, at appointed times, year by year, to burn on the altar of Hashem, our God, as it is written in the Torah. You want me to continue?
Yep.
Oh, okay. And we accepted upon ourselves to bring the first fruits of our ground and the first fruits of all the fruit of every required tree, year by year, to the temple of Hashem. And to
Okay.
redeem.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And to redeem the firstborn of our sons and our animals, as written in the Torah. And to bring the firstborn of our cattle and our flocks to the temple of our God, to the Kohanim, who serve in the temple of our God, to the temple of our God. Oh, sorry. And that we would.
Oh, stop there.
And that, okay.
Okay, so we learned last week that they cast lots. They had a lottery, and they selected families who would be responsible to provide wood for the altar, the Mizbeach, to keep the fires burning, and also to in the temple area where the Levium and the Kohanim lived, that were working to keep the fire, the temple warm, that area warm in the wintertime. So no matter what happened with how much wood they used or didn't use, there was always a supply of wood. Now, the interesting thing is that this was such an important mitzvah, and nowhere in the this is something that we learned here that's very interesting. There's no a requirement in the Torah for bringing wood. There's all of these others, the cattle, the sheep, the first fruits, the opinion, the firstborn son, all these are in the Torah, but there is no place in the Torah where it talks about people supplying the Beit HaMikdash with wood. So this was something that the people initiated. They saw that there was a need to do this, and they included it in this covenant that they wrote. And they said that this particular acceptance of responsibility was so great that even it carried over from generation to generation. They knew that they were the ones responsible for, each month to provide wood. Now, in the times of the Romans, this is hundreds of years later after Nechemiah. In the time of the Romans, when the Romans started to besiege the city of Jerusalem, the interesting thing was that they tried to cut off Jerusalem from all incoming supplies and everything that was needed so that they could eventually take over and siege the city. So the story goes that the people were so intent on making sure that there was wood for the Mizbeach at in the temple, the Beit HaMikdash, that those people whose responsibility it was to bring wood would tell the Romans. They would go out, they would get the wood, and they would shape the wood into ladders. This is a story, this is a midrash, but it's a very interesting midrash, that they would go and make ladders of wood, and they would put them, I guess, in their wagons, all these ladders of wood, and they would tell the Romans would say, "What is this? What are you bringing these ladders in the city for?" And they would say, "We have a business where we collect." Is somebody got some noise going on in their area?
Sorry.
If you could just mute yourself, that would be fine. Thank you. And they would say, the Romans would ask, "What are you bringing all these wooden ladders into the city for?" And the people would say, "We have trees with bird nests, and we collect the eggs. And we have to have ladders to get high up to the bird nests." And so the Romans said, "Okay, fine, go ahead." So they would get to the temple, they unassemble the ladders, and they would have wood for the Mizbeach. So this is how important this particular mitzvah was for these people. Now, having said that, we also learned we talked about last week that not only did they commit to the wood, but they recommitted to bringing the first fruits, which is Bikurim. Bikurim, which we bring when to the temple?
Shavuot.
There you go, Shavuot. And the first fruits, and then it continues to talk about the firstborn of our sons. And what did we say? What is the redemption of the firstborn called?
Binyan
Yeah,
Ben.
Ben.
Yeah.
The Pidyon
Vision
Ben,
of Ben.
right? And then the firstborn of the animals, and it talks about the animals, and these animals are all used for on the Mizbeach as a sacrifice for different times and different things. And then they also gave to the Kohanim, who they gave all of their sacrifice, their donations really to the Kohanim. The Kohanim would do as they saw fit for the particular sacrifices. So here we start where we left off on 38. Linda, you want to continue reading?
Okay. All right, and that we would bring the first of our dough and our separated portions of grain and of the fruits of every tree, wine and olive oil, to the Kohanim, to the chambers of the temple of our God, and a tithe of the produce of our land to the Levites. Those Levites who receive the tithes being present in all of the cities of our labor. A Kohen, a descendant of Aaron, shall be with the Levites at the Levites' tithing. And the Levites shall bring up the tithe of the tithe, to the temple of our God, to the chambers of the storage house. For the children of Israel and children of the Levites shall bring the separated portions of the grain, the wine, and the oil to the chambers where the vessels of the sanctuary and the ministering Kohanim and the gatekeepers and singers are, so that we will not forsake the temple of our God.
Okay. So here we find that they even continue to take, when you bake challah, going
You're
back,
supposed to take a piece off.
you take nowadays, because
Yeah.
there's no Beit HaMikdash, and we don't take to the Kohanim our portion of challah. We take when we're baking now, we take a portion aside and we wrap it up and burn it as if it were, and reminding us of the Beit HaMikdash and taking to the Kohanim. So this is called Chavreshes Challah, and we continue to do that to this day. So we separate a portion for the Kohanim and Levim, and it says, and the fruits of all the trees of the grapes and olives, and all of these items of produce were brought for different korbanot. And so these items, there was a korban with flour and wine and oil and mixed together, and all these different combinations of items were given as sacrifices. And when we read all about these tithings in the Torah, we go, oh, this is so boring. This is so, and we probably glaze over it because we go, what do I need to know about the tithes for? But this is an integral daily activity of the Jewish people when they had the zechut, the privilege of having the Beit HaMikdash, that they would bring these offerings, and how they brought it and how they had committed to bringing it, so that these offerings could be given to Hashem in the Beit HaMikdash, in the service of the Kohanim and the Leviim. And that this is huge. This is a big deal. This is exactly what Hashem commands us to do. And because after the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, we no longer bring these items to anybody. We do a few of these things as a remembrance, the Pidyon Haben and the taking of challah. And, but we don't understand the significance of what these people had to do in their daily lives to remember to bring things, to remember to allot certain things. And there were ways that they had to do it, and which was their Judaism, and Judaism that we're not familiar with any longer. So, when you sit in shul and you hear the portions of the Torah being read about the tithing, it would behoove you to read it in English and understand that this was a time of great opportunity for the Jews to serve Hashem in giving of themselves. These korbanot were from their own livestock, their own farms and fields, and it was a great connection between them and Hashem, and the respect that they had for Torah commandments as the Levium and the Kohanim carried them out. And we're reminded here, it says the Kohanim, sons of Aaron, doesn't mean it means the generations of Aaron. They were, Aaron was the first Kohen Gadol, and the Leviim all come from him. So this is huge, and we don't really give it the significance that it should have. And then it continues that the Levium shall bring up the tithing of the to our God, to the temple, and to the chambers of the storage. Now, this was a whole operation. This was how, when the people came and they brought things, there was recordings of it, and there were seals, and that's what we find today when we're doing the sifting at the Beit HaMikdash. The record keeping was tremendous back then, because they kept records of who brought what, when, how much, and the Levium were like the accountants for some of the accountants in the operation of the Beit HaMikdash, and they had storage rooms. They had chambers in which these items were kept, or the animals were chained up until it was their time to be sacrificed. And so the Levium had a huge job in keeping the whole area clean from all these animals and all these the fruits and the wine and the oil and the flour. So all of this was kept in order by the Levium, and a very important task, because we learn later on, and this is how we lose the Beit HaMikdash for a second time, that not only were the people corrupt and lost faith in Hashem, but also the people who were working in the Beit HaMikdash became corrupt, and they had access to money, to goods, and all these things. So and this is where we learn that you have to have good temple records, and you have to have honest people taking care of everything for you.
Does verse 39, when my daughter-in-law goes grocery shopping, she'll only go to a store that she knows takes Meiser, and there's another
Right,
word.
Truma and Meiser.
That's going back to exactly this, right?
Yes. So this is where so nowadays, when you go to, say, to a farm, and you pick things and off the trees, and you pick the zucchini, you pick the berries, you pick whatever, and you take them home, you're taking it straight from the ground or from the tree. And so what we have to do, there's a bracha that you make for truma and for tithing, as if we were taking a portion of what we've picked, and we make a bracha and we dispose of it. It's not a lot, but it's a little, and we take, sometimes we used to take a penny, now we take a shekel, whatever, or an agarot, as if we're making tzedakah with the tithing, with what we're taking away. So there is a bracha in the Siddur that we're supposed to say, but when we go to the grocery store, that has already gone through all the process most of the time, because there's Tudot kashrut for the grocery stores, and it says that truma and masrot is usually taken. But sometimes when you go to the shuk and produce is brought in, you don't have to do it for the Arab lands. A lot of the produce comes from Arab properties. So we have to be careful that in our stringency, we don't make brachas, on the wrong things. So usually in the grocery store, there's no problem. And a lot of times when you see a tudah in the shuk, you can ask them, has truma and masrot been taken? So this is even important to this very day. Okay, so thanks for asking. That was a good question. And then we complete the chapter by, and for the children of Israel and the sons of the Levium brought, they separated their portions of grain and wine, etc. And it's kept in these in the storage chambers of the temple with the Kohanim who serve the and the gatekeepers and the singers and all. And now this was all done in remembrance of the temple of Hashem. Okay, finished with chapter 10. Now, any questions before we move on to chapter 11? Now, at this time, at the end of the chapter, we are now finished with that covenant. That has all been done. They have signed on and they are finished. They are now ready to go home and carry out their daily lives, but in a different way, in a Jewish way, in a committed way. And so consequently, when we start chapter 11, we go, what? What is this? This is this is something very strange. And we really don't understand without the commentary or the commentators and the Mefarshim saying, this chapter seems to be out of place. Where does it should it really follow? Well, let's take a look. It says at the beginning that all the people, the lords of the people settled in Jerusalem, while the remainder of the people cast lots to bring 1/10 of to settle in the city. What are they talking about now? We're having another lottery? You know, when we see these lotto little stands throughout Israel, lotteries are not new in our history. We've had many lotteries. Can you think of any lotteries? There's many of them.
No.
That go back into in the Torah in Tanakh. What's the first lottery you think of?
Land lotteries.
Go ahead. For whom?
Oh, I don't know.
Couple.
I just have a friend who won
Oh, okay.
lottery.
Well, that's the land lotteries now are reminiscent. They want young people to buy housing and get an affordable price, and this is the only way to do it. However, the land lotteries, Rose, you're correct, was when Moshe Rabbeinu is standing at the Yarden before going into Eretz Yisrael before he dies, and he now has a lottery for which tribe gets what portion of property in the new land.
Right.
So that's one lottery. What other lotteries do we know in our history? Who can? Purim. Interestingly enough, it says here that the Hebrew word for lottery, that they had a lottery, is a garol. Garol. A garol is a lottery. So where do we get the word pur? Pur or Purim is a Persian word. So so a garol or a garolot, which is plural, is the Hebrew for a lottery. Now, do you remember when Yaakov goes to meet Esav, and he's afraid after all these years that to meet him, and he's afraid that Esav is going to come with an army and wipe him out because he stole his bracha from their father. So what he does is basically seems like it's a lottery. He separates his group into two camps, and he sends one to one side of the river and the other side, so that if Asaph comes with an army to fight him, he won't lose his whole family. Now we have another one beside Purim. There's another lottery. Do you not remember in the book of Jonah, when Jonah runs away, he doesn't listen to God, and he says he runs to the port of Jaffa, and he gets on a ship. He doesn't want to go to Nineveh. And what happens on the ship? There's a terrible storm, remember? And the sailors go, somebody's causing this, and they all pray to their God. And they figure that they've got to make a sacrifice in order to calm the waters. So they have a lottery. And Jonah Jonah says, no, don't throw those people over because I'm the one causing the problem. That was another lottery. So we are not unfamiliar with lotteries in our time. And so consequently, now in chapter 11, the very first line talks about a lottery. But it's not going to make any sense to us unless we go all the way back in our Sefer of Nechemiah to chapter 7. Turn to chapter 7, please. Okay, can you turn to 7? And I'll tell you what, and Pasuk number 4.
Mine's covered at home.
Okay.
I can
7.
7,
No,
4.
okay.
Now, we're going to read this, and then we're going to go back to chapter 11, and you're going to see that it makes a very smooth transition, and it makes very good sense. But to read it right after the commitment of the Jews in Jerusalem, for all the commandments that they signed on for, is totally, doesn't make sense. Now, let's look at this. Everyone have Pasuk 4 in chapter 7? Okay. Xenia, you want to read it, please?
Sure. Okay, just for.
Go ahead. Continue for a
The
while.
city was broad and large. The people in it were few, and houses were not yet built. My God put it into my mind to assemble the nobles, the prefects, and the people in order to register them by families. I found the genealogical register of those who were first to come up, and there I found written, these are the people of the province who come up among the captive exiles that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had deported, and who returned to Jerusalem and to Judah, each to his own city.
Okay. Now, you see what happens here? Nehemiah says the city, now remember, after this covenant, people are all going to go home, and they don't live in Jerusalem. So Nehemiah says, wait a minute. Because of what we just read, it says now that Nehemiah sees that the city's empty. And this is before the people assemble for the Chagim. This is before. This is what we're going to read in chapter 11 is at a place somehow. So what we learn here is the city's empty. It says it's spacious, it's large, the people in it were few, and there were no houses built. It was empty. They had finished the walls, they had completed the security of the city, but there's nobody in there to defend it. So what does Nehemiah say? He says that Hashem puts an idea in his head. And Nehemiah says that while he's got this idea from Hashem to somehow repopulate the city of Yerushalayim, he's going to go and look at the book of lineage or the book of the records, okay? And it's going to tell him that who has come to Eretz Yisrael all the way back from Zerubbabel, the very first person who brought the exiles in the time of Koresh, of Cyrus. Okay, now, having looked at this book, he sees who came and where they went and what their lineage is, and he sees whether they are Kohanim, he sees that they're Levium, and if they're prosperous, if they're not so prosperous. And now when we go from this, what we just read, plus at 4, 5, and a little bit of 6, we're not going to read all the names that he read in the book because we've done that. We're now going to flip back to chapter 11 and understand that the city's empty. Nechemiah doesn't want the people to go home quite yet. And he says to them, now we can make sense of what is going to happen here, okay, in chapter 11, because we still understand the people are willing to sign on for all these commandments, but they're going to go home and leave the city empty. And so consequently, Nechemiah says, wait a minute, I got one more thing that I want to take care of before you guys go home. Can you give me another 10 minutes? And so he said, and they go, what, of course, they just committed their lives to Judaism. They're not going to give Nechemiah 10 more minutes, to see what else he's got to say. So he says to them, and we read here, Xenia, you want to read go ahead.
Sure. On 11?
Yeah.
Okay, at the beginning again?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah.
Okay, the officers of the people settled in Jerusalem. The rest of the people cast lots for 1 out of 10 to come and settle in the holy city of Jerusalem, and the other 9/10 to stay in the towns. The people gave their blessing to all the men who willingly settled in Jerusalem.
Okay. What does it look like is happening? There's one more thing happening right here. Nechemiah says, okay, we have tithed our bikurim. We have talked about, we're going to give the cattle and the sheep and the wine. We're giving, and the wood, and we're giving everything. Now we're going to have the first ever human lottery to see who will stay in Jerusalem and relocate into Jerusalem, and we're going to do it just like the tithing in the Torah, because this is not a commandment. This is not part of Torah that we repopulate Jerusalem. So what he does is he creates the first lottery of relocation of human beings, and they have a 1/10 of the population of the people currently right there in Jerusalem who've come, and he says to them, let's have a lottery, and those of you who are willing, who will come, who get the short stick, you will stay and relocate your families here, and we'll build in Jerusalem, and we'll repopulate it, and we'll strengthen it.
Question.
Yes.
When they're building the walls, it talks about that it's where each person
Right,
lives and it's their property. Those people would have left too.
No, those people had not left, but
There
there was a video that I sent you. Excuse me. There was a video I sent you about the rebuilding of the
Yeah.
wall. I don't know if you can go back and look, but there it showed the whole landscape of who lived near what part of the wall. The rest of the city, it shows pretty much was empty. It shows there were no houses, there was nothing there. And so Nehemiah was very worried that if he leaves Jerusalem and there's not a significant population, that the people who want to destroy the Jews will come back, breach the walls, and there won't be any resistance. So what happens now, he makes sure that 1/10 of the population, and now I'm going to call on my good name reader, Cynthia. Cynthia, you still there? We're going to find out who the people were who won the lottery and got to live in Jerusalem. Okay, Cynthia, you ready to continue for me?
Yeah, at number 4.
Yes, go
And
ahead.
at Jerusalem dwelt certain of the children of Yehuda, of the children of Benjamin, of the children of Yehuda, Attiah, the son of Uzziah, the son of Zechariah, the son of Amariah, the son of Shephatiah, son of Mechalael, of the children of Peretz, and Maaseiah, the son of Baruch, the son of Kolchoz, the son of Chaziah, the son of Adiah, the son of Yarid, the son of Zechariah, the son of Shilonit. All the sons of
Okay,
Peretz.
stop for a minute. Stop for a minute. Now let's talk about some of these people. Nehemiah is hoping to have the creme de la creme of the people move into Jerusalem. He wants, and he goes, he tells us by telling us who these people are, who their lineage is, who these people are who are going to repopulate. And it says, first of all, he's going to have some of the sons of Judah and Benjamin settle in Jerusalem. Now, that's not unusual. Remember, the only part of the land that we are now occupying is Judah, because all the rest is under occupation of the Persians. So we have Judah and of those from the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin, he has some of them settling in Jerusalem. And the sons of Judah, and it gives us some names. And then we come to the name of the sons of Perez. Who is Perez? Do you remember who that is in Torah? Well, Yehuda, son of Yaakov, the tribe of Yehuda. Yehuda had sons, and you recall the story of Tamar, where Tamar marries Yehuda's first son, and he dies. And because of the law of Levirate marriages, she gets, the second son marries Tamar because they didn't have any children. So so the second son of Yehuda dies. Now he only has one other son, and the other son, Yehuda refuses to let marry because he doesn't want him to die. So what does Tamar do? There's a whole sipur about how she dresses up like a prostitute and entices Yehuda, and she gets pregnant, and they have twins. The twins, one of the twins is Perez, and the other twin is Zerah. Now, who comes from the seed of Perez? David HaMelech.
Oh.
So these people, the sons of Perez, are the family from David HaMelech. Okay? Okay, now, let's see here. Now, continuing, do we have, and we have Okay, and then it says, the son of, hold on a second, hold on. I'm trying to find it. Okay. No. Okay, then it tells us that of all the sons of Perez, which is the Davidic line, settled in Jerusalem, there were 468 people. They call them warriors, Giborim, Chayalim. Okay, now let's continue. Go ahead, Cynthia, 7.
I didn't read 6.
Oh, okay, I just did.
Okay. And these are the sons of Benjamin. Salu, the son of Meshulam, the son of Yoed, the son of Pedaiah, the son of Kolaiah, the son of Maaseiah, the son of Itiel, the son of Yeshaiah. And after him, Gabai, Salai, 928. And Yoel, the son of Zichri, was their overseer. And Yehuda, the son of Senuah, was second over the city. Of the priests, Yediah, the son of Yoyarib, Yachnin, Seraiah, the son of Hilkiah, the son of Meshulam, the son of Tzadok, the son of Merayot, the son of Achituv, ruler of the house of God. And their brethren who did the work in the house were 822. And Adiah, son of Yerocham, the son of Pelaliah, the son of Amzi, the son of Zachariah, the son of Pashhu, the son of Malchiah, and his brethren, heads of the fathers' houses, 242. And Amashai, the son of Azarel, the son of Achzai, the son of Shelemot, the son of Immer, and their brethren, mighty men of valor, 128. And the overseer was Zavdiel, the son of Hagdolim. Also of the Levites, Shemaiah, the son of Hayashuv, the son of Azrikam, the son of Chashabiah, the son of Buni, and Shabtai and Yozavad of the chief of the Levites had the oversight of the outside work of the house of God. And Mattaniah, the son of Micha, the son of Zavdi, the son of Asaph, was the principal to begin the thanksgiving in prayer. And Bakbukia, the second among his brethren, and Abda, the son of Shamua, the son of Galal, the son of Yedutun. All of the Levites in the holy city were 284. Has to go on?
Yep.
Moreover, the gatekeepers, Akuv, Talmon, and their brethren, who kept the gates, were 122. And the residue of Israel, of the priests and the Levites, were all in all the cities of Yehuda, everyone in his inheritance. But the temple servants dwelt in Ophel, and Zicha, and Gishpa were over the temple servants. The overseer also of the Levites at Jerusalem was Uzi, the son of Bani, the son of Chashabiah, the son of Mattaniah, the son of Micha, of the sons of Asaph, the singers, over the business of the house of God. For it was the king's commandment concerning them, and a certain portion of all the singers, as every day required. And Petachia, the son of Meshach.
Okay, hold on 1 second. We're gonna stop there. Now, all these names that that Cynthia beautifully read, thank you very much. And all these names we have large families that came en masse to Jerusalem. They came as a group. We have Leviim, Kohanim, we have the statesmen of the cities, we have people in government, we have people who they're called in Hebrew, we read it, the reading in Hebrew calls them Anshe Chayal, the men of distinction. They're the important people who are inhabiting the land. Perhaps they are wealthy, they're powerful, they have connection to the government. It also talks about people who are going to have the job of handling things on the inside of the city and things on the outside of the city. And these people on the inside, were going to handle all the things of everyday life, making sure that there were supplies, there were provisions for the people in the city, within the city, and that the governance of the city was taken care of amongst the people. And then there were people who had to go be in charge of things outside the city and making sure that provisions and items and supplies, etc., were brought into the city. And so that there was a whole business structure within the whole community of how the city was going to run and who would be running it. And amongst these people, we I think it's verse, I might be 16. Let's see if I'm correct. In verse, let's go, oh, no, here. No, it's verse 22. It talks about the sons of Asaph, the singers.
He was one, is it the same Asaph that wrote the Tehillim?
Yes, good girl, very good. Look at you. Yes, Asaph, remember we had Mizmor Lasaph. You know, Asaph was one of the writers of some of the Tehillim, and he was part of B'nai Korach, the son of Korach. Remember that Korach was swallowed into the into the ground because he had challenged Moshe and Aaron for leadership. And it talks that right at the moment that the sons were gonna be swallowed up, they do tshuva, because you think, whoa, he's being swallowed up, everyone else is swallowed up. Well, the sons do tshuva, they remain on the earth, and they become the singers, the Levium in the Beit HaMikdash. And they are the relatives, the ancestors of this Asaph. So they have yichus. They have, it's very important. And then,
Can I question?
Yes.
This does not sound to me like a lottery. This sounds to me like hand picking Tuesday.
Well, maybe the hand pick, maybe what was, he gathered all these people that he knew were good people, and then they picked names. So there was 1/10 of the population of the good guys, the creme de la creme. It might have been a fixed lottery. Who knows?
Sounds like
I don't know.
Oh, Rhonda, I also have a question.
Yes.
I keep thinking about the 9/10 that went outside the city.
Right.
I assume there were Jews living in those places, other Jews.
Yes.
And was it then their jobs as being, having been here, to go and teach all the people who are in those outlying areas, how, what they learned and what they should be doing? I mean, that seems to me that would be a very important job. Do we in fact know if they were, were they successful, and do we hear anything about them?
Okay, so thank you, good question. So it said, so we, up until 23, we have, those that were picked for being in the lottery to live in Yerushalayim. Now, what happens with all of this? We know that the tribe of Levi doesn't get a portion of the land. because they're going to be given, Moshe Rabbeinu allots them 48 cities throughout all of Eretz Yisrael, when Eretz Yisrael was united. And he allots them 48 cities throughout the entire country. Now, once they are exiled, those cities no longer exist. What happens now? The Levium have no place to go. Most of the people we've read in Ezra and also in Nechemiah, people who came as a wave of the exiles, the Shivat Zion, the returnees to Zion, they go to their hometowns and they find their property, and they start living on their property that they had once inherited. But the Levium can't do that. So there's a problem for the Levium. Many of them have jobs in the Beit HaMikdash, but some don't. So they have to be redistributed amongst the Yehuda, because that's all that's left. Now, having said that, they're of Yehuda and the area of Binyamin as well. Having said that, we're going to read now where the other people go to. All these people. Now, in the lottery, let's see, the total number that I add up here, and I'm not good with math, so you might want to check my math, is 3,044. So apparently, if that's 1/10 of the population that came to Yerushalayim, then apparently there was about 30,000 people that were there for the Chagim and for signing on to the document of the covenant. So now, having tried to figure that out, let's see. Oh, it's 12 o'clock. Oh. All right. It's really, okay. So I do want to talk about there's about another paragraph left. We'll save that for next week. And then we'll go into chapter 12.
Wow.
Is that the last
No,
one?
we have 13 chapters. Cynthia, I hope you will be with us next week, because we have a bunch of names to read.
I'm sorry, I won't be.
Ah,
A whole
Cynthia.
bunch of tests, I'm sorry. I'll read it for you in my heart.
Okay.
No,
I can
where
pre-record it if you like. Pre-record it.
Okay.